baptism after the message is over. And for those of you who have your children in our children's ministries, there will be an item come up on the screen that will let you know that if you want them to see that, that's the time to go out and get them. And even though I won't be done yet, I won't be offended by that in any way, shape, or form. In fact, you may want to get a 5-minute head start. But I tell you, church, I'm stunned. I say good morning, but you certainly have a lot on your mind. 2 weeks ago, I had them pass out those little slips of paper, and I said, write down the questions you have. And there were more than 50 responses to that, and I was stunned by them. When you shared about your struggles and your prayers, the topics you have, the searches for understanding and meaning, and many of the things that you wrestle with on a daily basis. Where did I put the pages? Some of you even signed them, and I really struggled with that because I can tell you're really wrestling with some issues in life. Things like, how do I be more Christ-like? Fear of the Lord. How do we demonstrate not just His love, but also a healthy respect and reverence for God? What's the importance of daily Bible reading? How do I tell the difference between my will and God? Is there a certain format that a prayer should be made up of? Why do I struggle with lifting my hands in worship? Why am I so terrified of praying out loud? And there were all sorts of relational things. Could we hear a message on loving ourselves more? I'm terrible at self-love, and I know that God says you're to love your neighbor as yourself, and I don't love myself too much. Do you ever feel like you've done something where you bit off more than you can chew? I shared these with the staff without putting names on them, and I said, pray over these, would you? And help me to figure out what it is God wants me to share. Because what I was going to share, and someone did say, you can preach on whatever you want to preach on. That'll be okay by me, and thank you. I was going to preach on how God's law had hygiene principles involved in it, because I go in and out of bathrooms and I'm just shocked at the number of people who don't wash their hands. And 4 times throughout the giving of the law, God says, if you'll keep my commandments, I won't give you the diseases the Egyptians had. And now I'm working at a hospital, and we're kind of paranoid about that kind of thing. And God kind of struck that down in a number of ways. Number one, it never came up at all on the question replies. And number two, the following week, I had this horrendous cold where I, all week long, lost my voice and was answering the phone, hello, this is Knoxville Hospital and Clinic, and that kind of thing. So that God kind of said, don't go there. Some other time, I guess. I did not take this lightly. After trying to group it in some sensible order, I discovered that 31 out of the 50 replies had to do with struggles in a variety of relationships. And I want to put a disclaimer here. And for those of you who aren't old enough to know this, but Shell Oil Company used to run commercials, and they had the Shell Answer Man. And he'd come out, and there'd be this car pinging away there, and he'd go, that's this and thus and so, and you need to check this. And I'm not the Shell Answer Man. I struggle on this journey same as you do. wrestle with issues same as you do. Jesus has seen me throughout the course of my life as a liar, a thief, a breaker of covenants, unfaithful, immoral. But because of what he's done on the cross and by his grace and the faith he gave me, I get to be the starving orphan beggar who has been adopted and gets to eat at the king's buffet table. And I do know where the answers are. Right here. So I'll do my best to point you to them. Although we're going to move really quickly. The one that really got to me the most was the number of people who come to church a lot but struggle with that relationship with Jesus Christ. I never get to see him. At least not in the way I think he looked like. How do you talk to somebody you never see? How do you have a living, real relationship with somebody who never physically seems to be in the room with you? And all of the questions on relationships are very good and all deserving of an answer, and I'm still trying to figure out how to get answers back to you from the Word on particular issues. But this first, most important relationship, why do I need to know Jesus? Do you know Jesus? Is it authentic? Is it genuine? Is it real on a day-to-day basis? And it becomes the most important question because of who he claimed to be and who the Bible testifies that he is and who he becomes in your life. It's the most important question because, first of all, who he claimed to be. And if you ever run into people, and maybe this is you, maybe this is where you're at, you say, I'm reading the Bible, I just don't see any spectacular claims. I want to really point you to the Gospel of John. So you're going to see a lot of scriptures from John come up. Most of them from John. And I apologize to my Life Together group. We run through this already. So it's kind of a quick review. But the claims of Jesus. If you're reading the Word and you come away saying, well, he was just a good man, and he was a peasant from Palestine, and he lived many years ago, and so nothing he did really affects me. You've missed the point of what he claimed. Because he comes right out and says some really spectacular things. John 8:23, I am from above. John 8:42, I have come from God. John 8:58, before Abraham was, I am. Notice the change in verb tenses. He's claiming eternal nature. John 14:6. And all of the articles are in this passage. I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. And no one comes to the Father except, what? Through me. Wow. C.S. Lewis a long time ago said, if you really read the claims of Jesus, you have to come to one of three conclusions. Either he was a lunatic, he was crazy, and these are all L words, so just kind of file them away. He was insane, didn't know what he was talking about, just rambling on about spiritual things. And you hear that now when you hear people talk about a Messiah complex. That's kind of filed away in psychology. He wasn't really all there. Or he was a liar. He deliberately knew who he was and who he wasn't and deceived people into thinking that he was something he was not. Or the third choice. He's Lord. And then I have a choice to make. Right? Whether when I'm faced with that, I'm going to actually believe in that. And the testimony of the Bible goes on. The claims of the Word about him. Listen to some of these.